If you struggle to communicate, to articulate your thoughts smoothly, clearly, and confidently, then you are losing money and you're missing opportunities. Now, you already know this because if you're watching this video, it's probably because you have been struggling to articulate your thoughts as calmly and as clearly and as confidently as you would like in meetings, in high-pressure conversations, in presentations, in interviews. And you've seen that unless you learn how to communicate with smoothness, clarity, and confidence, you're not going to be able to do all the things that you know you're capable of doing. You're not going to be able to earn the money that you'd like to earn. You're not going to enjoy your social experiences and your relationships as much as you would like to. My name is Michael Williams, and in today's session, we're going to be continuing along with our series on how to up-level your speech. That is, how to take your speech to that next level. And what we've done is we've shared with you an acronym, CPU, right? CPU. And we said that the first step, if you will, we said there's 3 steps that you can take to up-level your speech. And one is to create a new speaking style. If you don't create a new speaking style, it simply means that you'll continue to use your old speaking style. And you already know that that's not letting you say what you want to say, when you want to say it, the way you want to say it. So we talked about creating your new speaking style in the last video. In the next, or in this video, we're going to talk about how you can practice your new speaking style. Because once you've created it, now you have to practice it so that it becomes natural and automatic and you don't have to think about it. So that's what we're going to look at today, how to practice your new speaking style. Okay? So the question is, how can you practice your new speaking style? Well, Pro90D gives you the tools, the exercises that you need to master this new speaking style. And we're going to talk about 2 of them. There are more, but we're just going to talk about 2. One of them we talked about is modeling, right? So we have a model practice exercise. The next one is what we call, it's our famous free flow speaking exercise. Just going to do X, okay? So modeling and free flow speaking exercise. So in the last video, we talked in depth about modeling. So how do you practice modeling using the Pro90D Smooth Speech System? Well, when you practice modeling using our system, what we do is we ask you, in fact, we give you a couple of clips. Some are short and some are a little longer. And we ask you to memorize that video. So one of them is 37 seconds, right? And we say, memorize this video. It's 37 seconds. It's a video with me speaking. I ask you to memorize it. And where I use my name, I say, this is Michael Williams, and welcome back to 7 steps to quickly achieve smooth, calm, and confident speech. So I ask you to memorize that and insert your name, okay? Whatever your name is. Now, the first stage that people go through in this practice, right? We're talking about how can you practice your new speaking style. So we say modeling is one way to practice, and now I'm telling you how to practice modeling. We ask you to memorize the words in the video, and then we ask you to go to that next phase, which is to mimic, to imitate, right? To almost act like you are the person in the video. So this means that you're going to be observing how the person modulates or inflects their voice. If they go up, you go up. And we're not talking about volume, we're talking about tone, right? So if they go up, you go up. When they come down, you come down. We're talking about speed, right? The pacing. You want to match or go slower than that person, right? So I tell my clients, you don't have to speak as fast as me. In fact, I prefer that you speak a little slower than I do. So if this clip is 37 seconds, yours should be 39 or 40 or 41. Now, you don't want it to be a whole minute necessarily, right? But you should be either matching my pacing or going a bit slower. So you're going to match my pacing, you're going to match my intonation, and then you're going to also match my articulation or enunciation. How do I emphasize? How do I articulate or enunciate, right? And then the next phase, so we're talking about wording, right? So first you're going to memorize the words. Then next, you usually will start to memorize the speaking style, the intonation, the emphasis, the articulation, how the person uses their mouth. Then you're going to imitate some of the body language, like facial expressions, when my eyebrows go up, when they come down, head tilting, how I use my hands. Now, because I'm on video, I generally don't move around a lot, but if I were live, I would be moving into the audience. I'd be going over here. I wouldn't just be kind of pacing back and forth, but I'd be moving deliberately over here, speak for a little while, and then I would come back over here and speak for a little while, and then I would come back here and speak for a while, right? So I would be moving around more if this were live. Now I know I still can move within the range of the camera, I just generally don't. So you're going to be copying some of the body language, right? Hand gestures, you're not going to copy them mechanically, but you're going to start using your hands more. Many people don't use their hands when they speak, and they find that when they do use their hands, it helps them tremendously. So you're going to copy body language. So basically, when you are practicing using the Pro 90D Smooth Speech system, when you're practicing modeling, you're going to usually focus on the words first, and then as you start to get the words, then you start focusing on the style and the rhythm. And as you get that rhythm, then you start focusing on the body language, right? Then we do something called micro modeling, where you really get in there and you say, okay, how did he say this? How did he enunciate this? What did he do with his eyebrows? What did he do with his head? How did he inflect on that word? How did he extend that word or emphasize that word? What did he do with his hands then, right? So you really get into it and start to master it, right? Really, so that when you do it, you actually start to feel different than yourself. You feel like your model. And that's the key. You can't do it as yourselves, which means if you take the video and you write a script and then you go off, like, and you leave my video on the side and then you just practice it yourself as yourself, you're defeating the purpose of the modeling exercise. So we ask you, don't write a script. Take that video and break it down into 5 to 6 to 7 minute chunks. Memorize it, which means you watch the video, then you practice yourself, and during some of your practices, you actually record yourself so you can play it back. Some people practice in the mirror, which is fine, but it's better to record yourself so you can play it back. When you're in the mirror, you can't play it back, but you can see, you get instant feedback, which is fine. If you're recording yourself, you can also get instant feedback because you can look at the camera like I'm doing now. You can look at the screen and see yourself, and it's recorded. Okay, so you want to record some of your practices, and then once you've gotten it down, once you're starting to do things differently, so I don't usually use my hands like this. I don't usually inflect my voice like this. I don't usually use my face like this, right? So then when you do it, your brain says, this is different. This is not the way I usually speak. This feels different. This sounds different. This looks different. This is different. This is a new speaking style. Do you get that? That's how you create that new speaking style, modeling someone else, doing something different. And after a while, when you practice it, when you do it over and over, it starts to feel very, very natural. It feels like you. Now, there are some people, for example, when I started modeling many, many years ago, over 20 years ago, there were some people who I didn't like the way that they spoke. The way they spoke was dynamic. It was awesome. It was an amazing speaker, very, very wealthy guy. But it didn't fit. It didn't resonate with me and my personality and my style and the way that I wanted to speak. But there was another guy who's also very famous who I liked the way he was much calmer. I liked the way he spoke. I liked the way he inflected his voice. I liked his rhythm. I liked his posture, his hand gestures. And so I studied him. And I practiced speaking just like him and sounding as much like him as I could. And when I did it, I literally felt like I was him. Okay? I literally felt like I was him. Now, I had 2 models. I advise most people to probably stick with one model initially, and then you can add a second model if you like. Some people can model multiple people. For other people, that can be confusing. So I modeled this person because it resonated with my personality and my style and the way that I want it to be, my ideal speaking style, okay? So by By modeling this person and by practicing speaking like this person, I was able to create a new speaking style, which allowed me to go out and do presentations and have meetings and do things and speak completely fluently because it wasn't me. And then the more I did it, the more it became me. See, this is where changing your speaking identity, which we haven't really been talking about in this series of videos, but we do in the system. And it's very important that you also change who you see yourself as, how you see yourself as, how and who you believe yourself to be as a speaker, right? You have to change that as well. But right now we're just talking about creating your speaking style, your new speaking style, and practicing your new speaking style. So one way we do it is using modeling, and I've just shared with you how to practice modeling. We give you a clip, you memorize the clip, you go through those 3 phases, and then you keep practicing. Now, when you practice the clip, you don't always have to have the video in front of you. Once you've got it, and you know that you're speaking differently, then you can practice when you're walking, when you're driving, when you're cleaning. I have one young lady who's working with me now, and she works for UPS, and she said one day she was driving to work, and she practiced a modeling clip for about 30 minutes straight to work. And then she found when she was speaking with a coworker that she actually just started modeling automatically. She started using her modeling style automatically because she had been practicing, okay? And then the more she uses this modeling style, the smoother she's going to speak, right? The smoother her speaking style will be, the clearer it will be, the more confident. She said she felt very confident, right? The more she does that, the more her brain registers these successful speaking experiences as successful memories, as positive memories, as patterns. So then the brain, whenever you have an upcoming or a new speaking situation, right? The brain says, how are we going to speak? Well, how does it know how you're going to speak? Well, it goes back and looks at how you spoke before in a similar situation, looks for patterns, pattern recognition. So it says, let me go back, and it does this instantaneously. It goes back and says, how did we speak the last time? Or how did we speak in a similar situation? Oh, we spoke well. We spoke smoothly. We felt confident. So this is how you'll speak now. This is how you'll speak now. Does this make sense? So in order to be successful at speaking well, at communicating well, you have to create successful speaking memories or experiences. Now, how do you do that? You borrow the speaking style from someone else. So you leapfrog over, instead of trying to build one up yourself, which you can do, and people do it all the time, you simply borrow the speaking style of someone else, someone that you like the way they speak. You borrow it so that you leapfrog over the canyon. I'll just draw that out for you. And you instantaneously use this new speaking style, and you keep using it until it becomes yours. So it kind of looks like this. Some people like to go down in the valley and build their own speaking style and come back out with a new speaking style. Yes, you can do that, but it's far more difficult. When you model, what you're doing is you're simply leapfrogging like a bridge over to this new speaking style, and you automatically, instantaneously, immediately start speaking smoother because you've borrowed the one. You're not trying to build it yourself like a person who does. This is much harder, this is much longer, this is much faster, and it's much easier. Model, okay? Now, let's talk about the second way that we help you practice your new speaking style so that you can master it so it becomes automatic so you don't have to think about it. The second way is using our free flow speaking exercise. Now, I'm not going to describe it specifically because there's 2 parts to it, but I will just give you a general idea of what this exercise consists of, and we'll be doing some workshops where we have you practice it, right? You can join us, they'll be free, you can join us and you can practice this exercise and we'll give you feedback. What this exercise does is it gives you at least 2 benefits, probably more. One is it helps you with your airflow, right? It helps you learn how to speak on the exhalation, to maintain airflow, to speak smoothly and fluently when you're speaking. So if you have a problem with your speech being choppy, or if you block, as we call it, you get stuck and you stumble and you interrupt yourself, you start something and then you go back and and you just never finish what you're saying. The free flow speaking exercise can help you smooth that out. Helps you learn how to maintain airflow. We use extending and blending and things like that. The other benefit of the free flow speaking exercise is that it helps you to speak without thinking, and it helps you to speak while you think. In other words, often people anticipate the words that they're going to be using. So they start scanning and they start saying, oh, I'm going to have a problem saying that word, or I'm going to have a problem saying this word. Or you start scanning ahead and think, okay, well, I want to say it this way. I'd like to say it this way, or I like to use these words, right? And if you start doing that, the energy and the capacity that you start to use scanning ahead is taken away from the energy that you need to use to engage your listeners, to stream your thinking. Now you're starting to think on the word level. Well, what words am I going to use? How am I going to structure this? When you start thinking like that, you interrupt your flow. You interrupt the smoothness. Sometimes you interrupt the clarity. And if you start becoming anxious because you're scanning ahead or you're overthinking what you want to say, then you start to lose the engagement with your audience, and your mind starts getting cloudy, and you start to mess up, and you start to get choppy, and then you get more anxious, and then you get cloudier, and then you just start repeating yourself, okay? So you're not as concise and precise as you'd like to be. What the free flow speaking exercise does is it helps you gain maximum access to your creativity, to your thoughts, to the things that you want to say, to the intentions, to the ideas that you want to communicate. You gain maximum access so you can stream those out smoothly, fluently, easily, clearly, confidently, right? It also helps you to speak without thinking. You know what you want to say. You have a capacity in that language, and so you really don't have to think about exactly what you want to say. You just have to say, I want to communicate this idea. I want to communicate this message. And you let your brain choose the words and choose the structure of that particular phrase. You let your brain do all of that. And the more you practice it, the more you do it, the more proficient you become at communicating like that, at streaming your thoughts without interrupting yourself thinking about the words and how you want to structure, and, oh, I might get stuck on this word, or I don't want to say it that way, or I wonder what they're going to say. No, you're in the moment, you're present, you're streaming your thoughts, and you're flowing, and you trust that you're going to find the right words at the right time. The other thing that people do is they're doubting whether or not the way that they're saying is the right way, and so it interrupts their flow. So you're going to learn to build trust in yourself to say, hey, guess what? I'm going to trust that I say this the way it needs to be said, and that if I need to fix something, I can always go back and do it after I say it. I can simply just circle back around and reinforce what I've said, or I can say it in a different way. I don't have to interrupt the flow in the middle, like while I'm actually speaking. So this is something that we also work on in the Pro 90D Smooth Speech system. So if you struggle with any of those things, Pro 90D can help you, okay? So the free flow speaking exercise, that's what it does. We have basically 4 phases. There's 2 parts. In the first part, there's 4 phases that we take you through, where you do a breathing exercise and you speak, and then you do another exercise with your breath and you're speaking, and then there's another one where you've selected a topic and you speak on that topic. All the while, you are practicing maintaining smooth airflow. So you're improving your breathing, you're improving your ability to stream your thoughts, to speak continuously, to speak with a flow, to not interrupt yourself, right? You're improving all of these abilities, these capacities, while you're doing this exercise. One of the most powerful exercises in the world, something that we came up with here at Pro 90D. So 2 ways that you can practice your new speaking style and master it so it becomes automatic, which your brain wants to do, is through modeling and through our famous free flow speaking exercise, okay? So hopefully this has been helpful. If you want to learn more and you want to actually practice these exercises, we're going to encourage you to sign up for one of our workshops that we'll be having coming up probably at the very, very beginning of August this year. And if you're watching this video, then we'll probably have some more if you're watching it next year or whenever, we'll have ones that you can sign up for. And if you really want to accelerate your progress and you want to up-level your speech, you're going to want to work with us one-on-one. It's the fastest way, and it's the best money that you'll ever invest in yourself. Why? Because you already know that if your communication skills are not where they need to be, you're going to lose out to someone who may be less qualified than you, but who has better communication skills. I work with PhDs, I work with medical doctors, I work with lawyers, and they know that if they're not able to communicate well, they're not going to earn what they're worth. If they're a PhD, they're not going to be able to articulate and communicate their work the way that they need to, the way that they want to, so they won't be recognized and respected, right, in the way that they deserve. You're not going to be able to enjoy your social engagements the way that you want. And this is going to affect you psychologically, emotionally, and even physically. You're just going to be more stressed because you're simply not able to clearly, smoothly, and confidently articulate your thoughts. So how much is that worth to you? Many of our clients who invest in coaching get a return on their investment of multiple times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times what they invested, often within a period of months. Sometimes it takes several months, sometimes it takes a little longer. It simply depends on when they go for those jobs, right? When they go for those promotions. But we've had several just recently who've gotten promotions within, like, during the time that they were working with us, if not shortly thereafter. And these are skills and benefits that continue to pay for themselves year after year, and they multiply exponentially. So the more confident you become, the better you speak, the better opportunities you're able to take advantage of, and then the more skills, the more recognition you get, the more knowledge, the more experience you get, and then you're able to roll that into even better opportunities and better opportunities, all because you were wise enough and intelligent enough to invest in your communication skills, in your speech now. So you get a lifetime return on your investment, but you also get a short-term return financially, right, if that's what you're looking for. So thank you so much for watching this video. Again, you want to up-level your communication skills, your speech, work with us one-on-one. We'll provide a link in or around this video that you can click, bring you right there, and you can either purchase the package, or if you want to speak with me first, then you can do that. We just ask that you're serious about moving forward with your speech. We have lots of resources out there for you to check us out, but those are your options, okay? So thank you so much. Again, my name is Michael Williams. Look forward to seeing you in the next video, where we talk about how to use your new speaking style. You create it, and then what's the next one? It starts with a P. You practice it, CPU, and then the next one is that you have to get out there and use it. That's what we'll talk about in the next session. I'll see you there.